the same thing, it hasn't showed up yet. Yeah, I asked her the same thing, I think pick up a little bit today. Because you're making into long chunks, you know. It's just a matter of time, somebody's gonna leave it. It's not gonna flip all. Quick catch up fire, smoke your stomach, sure. I think I'll do it support.
Sure did.
Yeah, and they keep saying, yeah, we can furnish it to a place today.
I heard that.
I can furnish it, but that don't happen. I said, there's a pile just down the road, the game said that, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, two piles.
I have faith in you.
He said we could have that.
If that bottle would have been in the way, you would have. It's my fault. I apologize.
It wouldn't take long.
It gotta be that way. Keeps it entertaining.
Like we don't have enough.
Drama on your now.
We did it once before. Years ago.
Fire prevention? No, it's just fire season.
Oh, yeah. Well, I guess it would be prime maintenance to
Good conditions
the
for
warming shelter.
fire, although we haven't had much.
You know, yeah, it's for that. Because you are allowed to maintenance that counts.
Yeah, we're gonna be getting some snow.
Yeah, maybe don't rack up with $30,000.
It's coming back up today and.
Another thing, that signs could have diamonds on them with the explanation.
That storm behind me alongside that.
I believe of that.
Was that below the
Oh,
sawdust?
you mean the guy
The
that,
chips on today.
Oh.
yeah, so I work with the map.
So we put that on the map.
Had it completely full to the top, Terry. 22 buckets on it. And we were just pounding it in, right?
Yeah.
I pulled on the scale there, but I still.
It has it.
380.
What was it, pine?
Oh, oak. Must be awfully dry.
I would say
What about you?
Pretty good.
that you should have been 110,000.
My gauges are all 70 pounds. And normally I'm overweight.
I didn't help you with that one.
Yeah, look at that, 93 pounds. Of course, you take me out of the truck.
Scale those screws? Yeah, but what do you weigh? 165 pounds?
I can say you take 160, take them off.
If it's snow covered.
You gotta read that at the calendar.
Just pull the plug. Well, I started bombing, and I have a pair of starts at 3. I'm trying to get 50 gallons this year. Yeah. Except for all the cleanup.
You ready, ma'am? We'll call the meeting to order. Since it's such a nice day, except for the wind, we all want to get out of here. So.
Oh, are you excusing us?
Wishing one hand and you don't want the other.
I tried. I tried to help you all before.
Motion to approve the minutes of February 21st.
So,
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Public comments? All right.
I just want to make a comment. I'll give a report later. Jay's not going to be here on the Trails Committee, but more on a more personal note. I'm not a big guy on Facebook, but I do dabble in it a little bit. And boy, this last week, there's been a lot of comments about Rusk County ATV trails open May 1st. You know, and there's a couple of rides scheduled. I'm just afraid that people don't understand the difference between the graveled state trails and our county trails, and that people think that everything's open May 1st. I was afraid this was coming.
Bob?
Yep. Well, I have to echo that too. I've seen it on Facebook. I was extremely disappointed to see that. There is only one date. It doesn't say only the funded trails, gravel trails, and the rest opens up. And later in the packet here, it says traditionally the Friday before Memorial Day. Doesn't say anything about that. It just says Rusk County ATV trails are open on May 1st. So again, the next week, the forest administrator will be out there saying, look at how this trail is all rutted up and that one's rutted up. We need to close this, we need to close that. I knew it was coming. This makes me feel like it was almost done deliberately. So I'm not happy about that at all. East of the Hackett Road, the guy that was in off the snowmobile trail and cut off the tamarack swamp back in there. It was nice to see that he had it all nice and back bladed. I was in there a few weeks ago, and when I came down to the trail and it was a warm day and I saw it was all nice and back bladed, we turned around and we went back to the north because I was not going to put a track on it. But what I didn't see was there's no ditching and crowning. There's no of the BPMs on the trails. We're not doing anything to stay with that outline. So I was disappointed to see that. I think he did a nice job on cutting off the tamarack swamp.
I just wanted to make a comment on Excelsior Road. I hope you don't make that a shared trail anymore. That road's not wide enough to be a shared trail with the skiers and vehicles both. And then that, any discussion about looking for a gravel pit up in the hills at all? And are we gonna take bids for doing that new ATV trail? That'll be a good time.
I'll get Mike for it. Ross?
Okay.
Yeah, there's been a lot of discussion about the ski trails here that we've had on the ad hoc committee and stuff our last couple meetings, and I know the cross country skiers are a little bit of a unique user group in that they need their groomed trails and they gotta stay in good shape and whatnot. But I think it's a little unfair that we take publicly funded road, like Excelsior and the Johns Creek, that if there's damage on that road or something, the public is going to pay to fix it. And I think it's a little ridiculous. We take that road and close it down to benefit just one user group for a period of the year. I don't think there's any other user groups that would benefit from something like that. I've got, I understand why it's important to them, and I think there's a way that we can work together to come up with something where they can utilize it as well. Is it going to be, maybe as perfect as it is right now that they got a big wide 20-foot road all to themselves? Maybe not, but I think it's a little unfair to everybody else. Honestly, the whole ski trail thing is kind of what I've learned about it here in the last couple months. It's kind of blown my mind, because our goal, a lot of our goals in ad hoc is not to benefit one user group, but to open it up to open stuff up, so a lot of people can use them, and they remain sustainable for a lot of people to use it. And like I said, I understand why the ski trail, it's a little bit unique, but, you know, to hear that they get closed down so you can't even walk down them, and stuff in certain times of the year, I think that's, to me, that's a little bit ridiculous. And also, it seems to me like some of these issues that are coming up, it almost seems like they're trying to circumvent us, the ad hoc committee, and go straight to you guys. You know, so sometimes we feel it's just a little weird, you know, because we're trying to handle this stuff and talk to different people, and then all of a sudden we hear about an issue that's like going straight to Jared and going to the committee where we don't have any say in it. So I guess I'm not asking for any favors. I guess I'm just asking you guys to think about, you know, how we're going to handle some of this stuff going forward. I mean, you know, we're not approving, denying anything, but, you know, it would be nice if we at least had a chance to have our opinion heard with some of these issues.
Anybody else? We'll go. Oh, here's Ross. Well, somebody's back there, but it's you to move. Ross moves, so.
Just me.
Other reports, Parks and Rec.
All right, our campground reservations seem to be on par right now with last year and the year before's numbers, so that's good. We're expecting probably to have a little bit earlier usage this year because of the warmer weather that we've been having. Now, granted, that could change here the next week. Hopefully not too much. Because we were also thinking that we might be able to get our docks in this year a little earlier. Usually we're cutting it really close with the fishing opener, between the ice out and the opener to get those docks in. And we have like 24 docks that we put in, so it can be difficult, but.
Mike, you've been around long enough to know we're gonna pay for the nice weather.
I'm hoping we're not gonna, but yeah, you should be right. So, yeah, a friend of mine said that it's freezing up now in front of him by the Flammable Lodge. He said this is the third time this winter that it's opened up and refroze. So, yeah, it's been a strange winter. Snowmobile trails have not opened this winter, and I don't think they will even with snow at this point, because the swamps won't be frozen down, and I think some of the clubs have probably taken signs down, I've heard, so I doubt that they would open, although haven't closed any of the gates because there could be just some usage, you know, in the hills if we do get snow. I imagine that they want to get out.
If I may, did the clubs take advantage of this, the trails not being open and not being used to maybe get some extra brush cut, get some extra maintenance done where they could do it without too many snow?
They have, and I was been asked certain questions about, you know, how they could do that, and so I would think that if they did, they sure should have, just because they have good opportunity to get out there and do a lot of that work. You know, in the areas that weren't frozen, of course. You know, like wetlands, if it's not frozen, you can't get into there.
Right.
But I would imagine there's still probably a little bit of storm damage stuff that could have been cleaned up a little bit. So, we are extending our intern application deadline to March 1st this year, or rather May 1st this year, hoping to get more applicants. We do have 2 returning interns from last year, so that's always good to have return interns. They know where they're going and what they need to be doing. But we need 1 more, and we haven't had a lot of applicants yet, so hopefully we'll get a few more. Other than that, I've been working on our rec grants, and then I'll be going over that here later in the meeting for approval on those. So yeah.
You doing the timber sale, Jared?
Yep, timber sale report. AKA Dane's baby. J&J, really not a whole lot of action since the last meeting. Road bands were on before that. They came off for a minute or a few days. you guys got a bunch of wood hauled during that time, but J&J Enterprises cut a lot of wood off the Lee Lake timber sale up there at 27.
Are they done?
They pulled out for the year, but they're not done with the sale. Bunch of swampy ground on the north side yet that they didn't cut. Mostly east of where they cut. And then there's a portion of that sale south of the road as well. So, they got some more to do there. And then Cumberland Timber was also cutting in the Lee Lake block a little bit, backing away, but they pulled out a week or two ago. That's all for timber sales.
Put on to your report.
Got the Bat Habitat Conservation Plan annual compliance report sent to the DNR. That's a yearly report that we have to do now that bats are endangered. It involves acreage cut, road work done, tree cutting other than timber sales that was done. Basically bats can hang out in the bark of trees, so we gotta keep track of that stuff. No changes to management due to that, just another time sink on reporting, not a big deal. Had a pre-audit meeting in Tomahawk a couple weeks ago with myself, Jake, and Roy went to that day and was off that day, but a lot of information there. Derek joined via phone. Talked about issues for the upcoming audit this summer. That is a full recertification audit for the entire county forest system. We happen to be lucky enough to be drawn for that audit, along with Price County, Oneida County, and Vilas County. A lot of focus on BMPs, timber sale design and administration, all that relates to BMPs, roads, rec trails, silviculture, which is timber management basically. So talking climate change adaptation, lots of good stuff. So pretty much just gave me a lot of stress to look forward to July. Worked on the capital improvement plan. I don't have that for you guys today to look at. I will next month. A couple things I want to add to that. Ashley suggested being a little more specific on some things, so that's in the works. As you know, the spring closure is in effect since it's after March 15th. Oak wilt restrictions on cutting usually begins April 15th. However, for your own knowledge, it's important to know that if weather is extremely warm earlier, bugs can fly earlier, so potentially you may want to avoid pruning your oaks earlier this year if warm weather continues. That April 15th is kind of a safe day they use to ensure the bugs aren't out to spread that fungus. But I'm not going to touch my oaks anymore. We had one guy take part in chainsaw safety along with highway department and maintenance guys. Went well. Jake and Roy and Derek as well are prepping timber sales and bring those next month for your approval to have a bid opening in May, as usual. Questions? That's it.
Rob, you said you're giving the committee report?
Oh, there's one other thing. I moved that to the end and then forgot to talk it. Had a meeting with Rod, Jay, and three ski trail guys. Was that yesterday? Yeah, yesterday. That went well. Lots of good discussion on Seltzer Road and how to try to come up with a solution for that. I'm going to get an estimate probably from Highway Department on widening that road. I'm guessing that'll be cost prohibitive. Another alternative of potentially putting a ski trail that basically parallels the road but south of it to complete their loop there. potential of using some funds that we have in an account for trail park development for that, but ski trail guys, we're gonna go explore that and see if there's a possibility to make that work down there. And we'll go from there on that. See if we can come up with a project there. And if we build another, if we put a trail there for them, then there will be no conflict on Excelsior Road, which is, as you know, has been a contentious one.
Is that a gas tax one?
It is county forest road. Yep. We get $350 a mile.
Cause I'm just baffled with how the ski people can just tell you to close the road. It's a gas tax.
You can ask your previous forestry committee how that happened.
That's before my time, so.
Yeah. That's what I said.
So my point is.
That was a long time ago. Yeah.
So my point is somehow we need to fix it now.
It might have been when Jeremy was here.
That was when Paul was here.
Well, it would've been Paul, because I got on the committee shortly after Jeremy come in, and it wasn't what I was on.
I've been on that road, that's pretty wide road already, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, either way, I think we had some good discussion. I think Ron would agree. There's some options out there to try to.
Well, let's try again, Ron.
Hang on, Phil, if I may. Jared, have you got are you getting anything from any updates, any contact whatsoever?
No, not since me and Ashley had a call, it was a couple months ago now, probably getting close to another quarterly update. We're supposed to have issuance of our credits by the end of the month. You know, I thought it was in a couple of weeks when we talked to them, but it just keeps on getting pushed.
Did they name the month?
End of quarter one, which is the end of March.
They have everything they need from our department, so.
They got 10 days, yeah, I guess.
Yeah, that's for the year one, you know. They also have everything they need for year two. And year two doesn't begin until year one is issued. We're already halfway through year three, so kind of a slow process.
It'd be smart to put that on next month's agenda where that funding is gonna go. You gotta decide if you wanna put it in a separate fund or just put it in the county.
There is a budget line already created for carbon credits.
But it ain't dedicated just to one, or it could be used probably anywhere then. It's dedicated to forestry.
Yeah, you guys haven't decided yet how that revenue will be.
Maybe we should put it on next month's agenda, and then after that, we can get it onto the county board to have the county board approve it, so we can dedicate it to, you know, building trails, fixing up trails.
How do you dedicate zero?
Well, we don't know, but you know, it's coming eventually.
It's an optimistic plan, you're probably right, the discussion should begin, because
I mean, eventually
sure
it's
there's
gonna
many
come.
guys that have an idea of where they
When
want
it does come, you're gonna have every department in the county, oh, they got this money, where do we get to spend it?
Yeah, as of now, there's no plan. It's important to know that the first year is supposed to, or we should stash, I guess, a portion. This is all part of the plan. I don't have the details with me, but
I thought they withheld a portion
well, we do for
storm events and that, they're kind of an insurance.
Yep.
It was kind of an insurance, I thought it was 25% that they withheld.
It's quite a bit, that would be the buffer pool.
Yeah.
And then we should hold a portion of our own money that we get to pay for the monitoring that we'll have to do after a 10-year stint with the new. After that, we have another 30 or 40 years of monitoring. Which would probably be hired out to something like Steigerwald.
Okay.
Unless we have staff that has time to do all the timber proving at that time. Who knows if we will. As of now, we would not take that work on.
Our considering this is not an agenda item, could we divulge any deeper, or, I have a question, but I don't know if I'm crossing the line with this question, considering carbon credits are not on the agenda. Can it fall under administrative report?
That's part of the administrator.
I have no problem with it.
Where does this land, we get another year, 18 months, 2 years into this, and nothing is done? At what time are they in breach of contract with us?
That's a good question.
Right, because they're gonna continue to say that they're actively working on it, that we just need one more thing, one more thing, one more thing. So if they're continuing to make progress, I don't really think they would be in breach of contract. I don't think there were deliverable dates in the contract that we signed.
I mean, they could drag this out for literally, if they drag it past the 10-year platform, then we're paying somebody to do the monitoring and ain't seen nothing out of it.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I don't know what the answer is.
Well, that's change tape for someone there.
Is there anything else? So I'm gonna let Rod talk, but I'm not gonna tell him he can rock till I know everything's done.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead, Rod.
All right, well, I wasn't to last month's meeting, so I don't know what Jay reported on, because basically our last 2 meetings have had the same agenda. We've discussed the same things. So, and I guess firstly is trail opening date, and, I guess a couple meetings ago, we passed a motion recommending that the county trails open on June 25th. And that wasn't a magical date, but I think we all kind of agreed that June 1st was probably too early. The way it's been in the past is the Friday before Memorial Day, which is too early for the trails. They haven't really firmed up yet, so it hasn't been a big problem in the past, but I'm concerned that, and we're all concerned that the problem is coming. And we just picked June 25th. I mean, if you guys would want to pick a day in June 15th or whatever, but our discussion about that was we all kind of felt June 1st was too early. The trails on most years aren't firmed up yet. The trees aren't sucking much moisture. The grass really hasn't grown much. They just haven't firmed up yet. And we don't want to rut up and wreck our trails. So that was, the trails was one discussion, and the other, this Excelsior Road thing that's been kicked around every which direction, and I know Jared talked about that a little bit, and like you said, we met yesterday. We're trying to make headway on that, because that should be a multi-use road, Excelsior Road, but it hasn't been in the wintertime, at least for sure.
Rob, can I catch you? And this question is actually for Jared, but pertaining to you. What, in the instance there's a timber sale in there, then what do the skiers do? And that Excelsior Road is being used to truck.
Same as John Creek, that just gets plowed, or anywhere in their ski trail, they have to do temporary closures on their skiing trails.
Sorry for the interruption.
No, that's fine, that's fine. So, we've talked about that a lot, and, I think we've made progress with the ski people. They realize that there are other interests out there that have some rights to be able to use that road and, have access to walk, to possibly take a 4-wheeler, to access the forest, where now they don't want any other groups in there during, their ski period. So we've had a lot of discussions about that. Like Jared said, they're kind of taking a look at trying to come up with an alternative route. Then you get into who's paying for it and how much county money we want to put toward one group, and that's a whole nother discussion. But that's really what's consumed our last couple of meetings. Anybody any questions, I guess, on anything?
is it an amicable back and forth with them, or are they kind of sitting steadfast, Ron?
Well, it's amicable, we have good discussions, but, you know, they're pretty stuck on what they want.
Is that the road they put the berm on there, so you couldn't drive in there?
No,
When I was up there with Jay, he took me around the whole place.
I don't think so.
They gate it. They put like a gate or something in front of it.
Maybe that's what it was. Anyways, I rode around with Jay for about half a day up there. And again, I'm sorry, but it's before my time. I can't wrap my head around how these skaters club takes over so much of the forestry. And it's like they're kicking you and I and everybody else out of there like we can't do nothing with it. That's public land.
Rod, have you got, are you, not to interrupt you, John?
I'm not done, but go ahead.
Go ahead, no, go ahead, Dan. Go ahead.
Well, I'm just saying, from what they got laid out up there, from containers to the shack, to the signs, the cameras, the whole 9 yards, stay off, stay out, it just blows my mind we allow that and how that ever got into play. It's supposed to be public land, but yet they get to dictate when, where, how, why. What am I missing? I can't wrap my head around this. We want to complain about we're going to close all the trails and everybody comes unglued, but we allow them to take over what they got up there, and nobody says a word. Can't wrap my head around it, and it ain't right. And it was probably in play, like Jared said, before I got here. So shame on them, not me. But I think it's time to fix it, put it in their place a little bit, and back them down the trail road. That is your land and everybody else's land here. And if I want to walk on that piece of property, I'm going to walk on that piece of property. I don't care what the sign says. Yeah, I was a little pissed that day when I was riding with Jay and seeing all the signs and everything closed and a berm across the road or a gate here or a gate there. We have issues out there. I'm done.
Any idea, Rod, did they ever give you any idea what percentage of them people are actually out of Rusk County? And what percentage come from even out of state?
They said they have 133 members, and I think a pretty good majority was from out of the county. Yeah, they talked a lot about Barron County and Chippewa County.
I would agree with you because I went in that shack and went through the visitor list, and he's correct. A lot of them don't even live in this county.
Who owns that warming shelter?
As far as I know, they do.
They do.
We own it.
You sure
We own all the structures. We own the snowmobile one, county property.
They say they own it.
They say they own it. They got it marked out like they own it. I'm telling you guys, they own their own little creation up there.
I think they can think that all they want, and I think the bottom line is Rusk County owns that building. It's like the snowmobile shelters.
I can guarantee you, if it's put on county property, you can build it on county property, but the county assumes ownership.
So the question would be is do you care if I go put a shack up and a bunch of containers in there and throw up a bunch of signs and put a gate here and a gate there and put up a fence? You okay with that? I'm gonna do it tomorrow. I just need to tell you where. We have problems up there, people, and we need to address it.
I just want to add one more thing there. And I got to give Jay a lot of credit. He is trying to be very, I don't know what the right term is.
Nice.
Politically correct or nice or
Open-minded.
Open-minded. I mean, we're really trying to work through this to come to an amicable, can't say the word agreement. But I do agree with you, John. But
we shouldn't have to. And again, we all pay taxes on that. And I'm not, I guess I've been listening to this club come through this committee since I got here. And all we did was keep kicking the can, let them do what they want, let them do what they want. Yes, it was all previously before I got here, but it's our land. God, I hate paying for something I can't use and somebody dictates when I can and can't use it and stay off it.
Any recommendations, Rod, or just a report?
No, Jared, like you said, is kind of looking at the trail thing, and that's kind of where we left it. No recommendations, I guess, beyond that.
I guess I'm gonna be quite honest with this committee. I don't see no reason that the forestry puts money into something for one user group. The forestry has not put money other than signs into all these access roads that we set up. We have a degree, I think most of them, if I'm not mistaken, Mike, are match grants when you build the state funded trails. Is there any match to that, or is that all state funded?
That's all state funded.
Okay. Then the forestry is not putting money into them trails. I don't see no reason that the forestry puts money into this to widen this for the skiers. If they want that, that's something that they probably should be doing.
That road's pretty wide already. That's just ludicrous for us to widen that road for them people.
I don't think that's the best solution.
Pardon? That's not the best solution.
No, I agree.
If there's a better solution, it would be a new trail, like I mentioned.
How do they get their funding now?
It's all donations. $20,000 a year or something is spent on grooming.
Sorry, Phil, you were trying to move on. We don't have any trail recommendations.
Well, I just wanna give my report for why I wasn't here last month. I had my granddaughter who's in 2nd grade come up and tell me, Grandpa, you and Grandma are going to Hawaii with us. And we get there, I'll tell you what the good food is. So I was in Hawaii. But I did find out something that I was completely blown away with. If you look, pictures of Africa, you see these big trees that come up and have these huge spreading crowns. Those are considered an invasive species in Hawaii. And they're all over the place. And they're cutting them down and they're using them for 15% of their electricity generated, but they can't keep up with them. So if a branch falls on the ground, it sprouts. But it's actually, I was not impressed with it. Some roads I was on, I thought I was in Appalachia, as dirty as they were. And a lot of it's like going to Wisconsin Dells, but some of it is really nice. Okay, into my report. But I was completely blown away by those trees. Huge. Trail recommendations, Josie Creek, dates.
All right, we have a calendar set up for this year that shows the closing dates for the rifle range on at Josie Creek. And those dates are due to holiday weekends, and then law enforcement uses the range a couple times a year. We close the days for them to use that, have their trainings there.
Pretty much the same as last year, isn't it?
Yep. Yep. I mean, the holidays change a little bit, but
Yeah.
there's really no change.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second
All right. Any discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried. Recreational grant approval.
Here we are. All right, these are the grants that I've been working on, the applications for the spring, and the application deadline is March 15th. I've been working pretty closely with some of the groups on this. Even some as of yesterday, Dennis was in there with me. So I'll go over these. Some of these are again a routine, like the first one, snowmobile trail maintenance. We have 318.7 miles. We get $300 a mile. So it's $95,610 for snowmobile trail maintenance. We have an Olson stream crossing. That's a snowmobile bridge, a new bridge, and that's for the Bruce Club. And I got estimates for $60,000 for that. That's a 36-foot bridge, so a pretty small one. Then Bruce Snowmobile Corridor 31 rear door reroute. Now what that does is it will allow the Bruce Club to use that new ATV trail north of Middleham Road. So we have to have their trail rerouted for them to be able to collect the mileage for that. And that actually ends up being a 3.8 mile increase. And that's why there's no development money going, and I'm not applying for any development money. That money's there. However, they will get a mileage increase every year of that $1,140. So that'll be a good thing. Ladysmith Snowmobile Club is looking at doing some new trail miles, 11.9. And that might change a little bit. The club was in yesterday, working with me on that. And I probably have to refine that map just a little bit. But again, there's no development money there. But that would be an increase every year of that $3,570 if that's approved. It's kind of difficult to get new trail miles. They don't approve those every year, but we're going to apply, and sometimes it takes a few years of applying to get those. So there are years when they have more funding available, and we'd be able to get those at that time. So, and that's going to be the same with that river reroute. Although reroutes are a little bit easier to get, they're ranked a little higher. So that snowmobile for the ATV applications, we've got ATV, UTV trail maintenance, 32 miles of trail, and we basically get $1,000 per mile. So it's $33,200 for trail maintenance. And George is having his club work on the trail maintenance, so that's money they get to spend for that. And that includes $1,200 insurance. We do have an ATV rehab project, which is gravel surfacing from the end of Kozak Lane to County Road O. And that is $109,552,000. So that's pretty significant. And that's based on my last estimates for the cost of crushed gravel, which is kind of high right now. So, and hauling that. Otherwise, trout maintenance, and if you recall, trout is a hybrid trail route. In other words, we are able to collect a little bit of money for our ATV roads, or not our county forest roads that are used for ATV trails. It's not much, but it is a little bit, and that's $3,246.03 for that. So my total is $301,608.03. I believe that does go to county board. I'm not sure.
No.
It goes to county board if we just get committee approval.
Standard applications, but I don't remember doing that.
And maybe that covers it. I don't know. I know the state requires us, the county board, to have the resolutions because I have to attach these, and that's what
That's the resolutions we approve.
Yeah.
Yes.
These are the actual what I'm applying for, the projects or the individual applications. So I don't know that this has ever gone to county board.
No, they don't need to.
It's just approved here.
Second? Discussion? Yeah, because we just approved all those grant applications.
All the
The
resolutions.
resolutions, yeah. Right. Yes.
Any more discussion? Not all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Pointless laundry?
Off-road vehicle.
Oh, I already got that one crossed off. Okay, back up one.
Did you guys get this in your packet?
How am I supposed to read that from here?
Enlarge it considerably. You're getting there.
copies?
Yeah, and some of the hard copies will come back to it.
Might be.
Something right, Phil?
Yeah, that's fine.
You betcha.
Come back to it.
Yeah,
Yeah. Need it.
well, then we will go to fourth law entry.
So, this parcel of land is 160 acres. You guys got this map, right?
Yeah.
Outlined in red off of between Highway 27 and Elk Creek Road. Was taken on tax deed in 1987. Has been treated like county forest. We actually had some wood cut off that property. A very high majority of it is wetland, very wetland. Non-merchant with black stone tamarack swamp.
Yeah.
There's a couple little bits of high ground by 3 of the 4 corners, really. The question came up through some talks with people in the treasurer's office about whether I wanted to enroll this in the county forest law. And I thought it was already. Looking into it, it's not, so I thought I'd present it to you guys. If you want this enrolled in county forest law, I will do that. If you'd rather leave it out, we can leave it out as well.
What's the benefit?
Well, the benefit, either to put it in would put it into a long-term, basically protected status like the rest of the county forest, open to public. Timber management, which is pretty minimal in there. Yeah. You know, all this stuff, wetland, wildlife protection, hunting opportunity, all that. There's no roads in it, no trails, no recreation of that manner, but certainly that's not the only way to access land. You can also walk. To leave it out would allow us to sell it potentially someday if desired.
Doesn't sound like it's very sellable.
It's not very sellable. It's 160 acres. I think Gerber's owns land next to it, and I forget who else, but
Some of that should be next to Smetana's, isn't it?
I don't remember. So we can leave it, just leave it be for now if you want, or we can enroll it in county forest law.
I'll make a motion to roll it in.
Motion been made. Is there a second?
Look,
Discussion. Looking something up first, Terry?
This
yes,
was,
I am.
Treasurer's office informed me that this, like some others, for some reason is on a do not sell list that they have. They don't know why things were put on that list all the time, what the deal is, but
Let the public enjoy it. Some ski areas there.
On this app that I've got, Jared, it says it's already county forest. It shows land ownership that we use, but
sure, but I verified with Doug.
forest law.
Mile north of Mile. Okay, never mind. I was thinking there was a road that went into that from the west, Jared, but that would be about 3/4 of a mile south of that is where that road goes in, so.
Oh.
Any more discussion? Not, all in favor of enrolling it, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. We don't have our paper back, you wanna go down to out of county travel? Jared? We'll keep on going.
Yep. What did we have there, Heidi?
No conversion to
Yep.
Yeah, Elk Advisory Committee in Wausau, Weston.
Who's,
Just for me, not overnight.
just because
No expense.
Is there a second? Yeah. favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Budget review?
That's one of the finance posts I'm on.
That's a mute point.
Hey, we missed some of the bills,
That's it. That's as far as finance has gotten done this month. I know there are pending bills that have not been cleared.
Well, then we need a motion to approve the bills.
so move as presented.
Discussion? All those in favor, say aye. Carried. Well, if we're gonna stay true to our form, our next meeting would be the 17th of April, the day
I don't
after.
think we should have the 17th.
Huh?
I don't think we should have the 17th.
Well, that was what I was gonna ask, is we got the county board day meeting the day before.
And we won't even know what the committees are usually by the next day.
Yeah, that was my plan.
Okay. Do we wanna move it back a week?
Put it on 24th.
No, the 10th.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, push it back early then.
That sounds good to me.
Fine by me.
The only thing is we have to be out of here, had to be a short meeting, cause I gotta leave by 5:30. Another meeting at 6.
Okay, so the next one will be April 10th. 3 p.m.
You need to exercise. Should you put that on next month's agenda? I think we should talk about it, even though we ain't gonna run it yet.
Yeah.
We have a plan. When the money comes in, everybody can. You know, we have a salary, we want to help us.
Somebody must have stopped you on the way.
Going tonight. Pushing this right now.
Give us like an update.
Variance.
I missed the meeting.
Oh.
Friday before.
Otherwise, I'll just wait, do it.
You're insinuating
No. Not at all.
which I probably resemble that fact.
I'll ask you one question here. In relation to what Bob brought up, changing that date, is everybody content with what we got, or do you think we ought to change it to Bob's recommendation, maybe? have discussion next month?
I think it should be clarified, because I think it's gonna be a problem, that it needs to be clarified in some manner. So I think it should be brought on a discussion. Yep.
Yep, that's what I'm asking.
For the ATV route?
Huh?
What are you saying?
Clarify the dates between put an agenda item for clarification of the dates between the state funded trails and the access roads.
Correct. I was gonna touch on that again too, because I got called. And that's gonna be the issue, it's not specified one way or the other.
Yep.
Since George didn't get in public comments, I think I'll allow him to talk.
On that closing date, June 25th is fine with most of the ATVers, I think. The May 1st was, a lot of people were wondering why we weren't open any earlier. And the set of rules that I kind of discussed with Jared was that the gravel trails are open May 1st, and non-gravel would be not open until June 25th. And those big brown signs need to be changed to reflect that. And we have to put this on our map in the rules section. And that has to go to print no later than May 1st, so, you know.
It would be good to make a decision today, is what you're saying.
It would be very good to make a
We
decision.
really can't do it without it being on the agenda though.
Well, discussion, possible motion, off-road vehicle ordinance.
Right.
Got some other changes, I'm hoping that will pass.
I'm gonna ask for clarification on that before we stick our foot in our mouth. Not trying to put you on the spot, but.
Jared, do you know what section it's in,
Section of what?
of the ordinance?
Well, Mike took my copy and apparently fell into it.
You still got one copy, yeah.
There's a date in this section of print off.
Yeah, again, if we're talking about sustainable trails at all, and that's what I have heard in here for how many years, about we have to have sustainable trails and keep sustainable trails. And if we don't do something with these dates, and the bear hunters that I've talked with, I was very pleasantly surprised at their support of a later date on the forest trails. Right now, it's the Friday before Memorial Day. And they all said the same thing. Well, it gives the trails a chance to dry out, for the grass to get growing, to make everything more firm, sustainable. So they didn't have a problem with a later date. And again, whether it's June 15th, 20th, 25th.
June 25th was thrown out there, Bob, I remember. And I think what we all kind of settled on is you was gonna be there later than June 5th.
And I'm fine with that too.
So, and I'm fine with it, you know, that's kind of where that came from, so I remember that meeting where we were talking about that.
Yeah, you were there at that meeting. And that's where I started, was the June 15th. But then when you guys put me on the spot and said, okay, set a date, well, okay. Nobody contested me, John.
I know.
Oh, I have one, but
Are you?
Section D, seasonal restriction.
So yes, I would say that because it's within the ordinance that was in the packet, yes, you can vote to do that.
What page?
This would be the fourth page of your packet. Section D there, seasonal restriction, if you go down to D, it says, the last sentence, this is for the state-funded gravel ATV trails. Those trails open on May 1st. And the next one, letter C, talks about the rest of the forest. That the Friday before Memorial Day weekend, we could change to wherever you please. June, whatever. I think it's
You're talking 168.
Yep, 168, 169.
Somebody care to make a motion with a date on it? Amen?
I would so move that the woods access roads be closed from March 15th and opened June 15th. I would add into that motion, though, Phil, that I think this needs to be 100% clarified on the website that the ATV trails that are open on May 1st are only the funded trails.
Gravel trails. Gravel trails.
Okay.
Which of them are the only ones on your map anyways, ain't it?
Right.
Gravelled ones?
There's no logging roads on the map. Yeah,
Funded ATV trails.
people don't know what's funded and what isn't, but if you tell them it's gravel, they should be able to tell.
Gravel, yeah, funded gravel ATV.
Yeah.
And the more of those colored diamonds that go up on the logging roads that go off the trail, the better. Well, if they see that sign and if our map has what those diamonds mean, we're trying our best to keep people out of there.
You wanna put some of them up?
I can bring it up to the club. I don't know.
Or you can change your Facebook post to clarify that a little better.
Well, when on the 13th of March, I let our Bob Sanderson does our Facebook, and I told him to put in there that the Rusk County trails are closed March 15th, gravel trails, and will reopen May 1st. That's what he posted.
I think there needs to be a pretty strong clarification that that's gravel trails only.
Right. Yeah, when, I gave Jared, what I came up with.
That's what it reads right there.
What the sign should say that are out there, and the sign should say the same things what's on the map, what the ordinance says. If you'll allow me, I don't know if you've seen this, but number one, the Rusk County gravel trails are open from May 1st until March 15th unless room for snowmobiling. Pretty simple. Number two, the Rusk County Forest is closed from March 15th. This says until the Friday Memorial Day weekend. The motion was for June 15th. To all vehicular traffic except gravel trail maintenance equipment. Ungraveled logging road use is restricted according to the colored diamond signs at those sites. Number four, all existing roadways and routes in Rusk County and the county forests are open year-round unless otherwise indicated. Number five, the ATV trail system is closed to vehicles over 3,000 pounds and over 65 inches except for emergency and trail maintenance equipment vehicles. No vehicles of any kind except snowmobiles, groomers, and emergency vehicles are allowed on the trails when groomed. A maximum speed of 25 miles per hour is recommended on the trails. Refer to state rules and specs as to ATV, UTV specs and limits, and check on updates frequently. That's what I came up with. Can be modified whatever way is the committee feels.
John, what does the post read?
The post reads right from Rusk Riders ATV Club. It's Rusk County UTV ATV trails will be closed March 15th.
Everybody's sharing.
The trails will reopen May 1st. That's it. So that's pretty confusing.
Yes, it is.
So it needs to be clarified.
We can repost it
You're gonna have to.
specifically, to be specific. We can do that pretty easy.
You're gonna have to draw them a map, George. Alright. They won't understand that.
Yeah, you should attach to that right to that. Should attach the trail map, on the trail map right to the posting, so they see it.
I don't know if they do that.
Is it past June 15th then?
It passed, and I know, we, motion's made and seconded.
Yeah.
Any other discussion? Not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Anything else on your highlighted red?
Yeah, so let's look at this page 3 if you can. Number 2 has some red in there.
You're starting at 109 or 110?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I always forget to use the line. So, we opened, frozen woods roads to trucks a couple months ago. It was brought to my attention they can't be on the funded trails, even if they're frozen, because of safety reasons with ATV, UTV use. So I added where sign open to highway licensed vehicles, because we can sign some stuff open for summer use for highway licensed vehicles. And then a clarifier, when the ground is frozen, vehicles greater than 3,000 pounds are not permitted on funded ATV trail system or in areas covered in section C. Now section C below, I put a bunch of changes in there, and we can walk through that if you want. Any area on boundaries of Audie Lake Park except the parking lot located in the boat landing area and the access road from the boat landing area to Birch Lake Road. So the intent of section C is to keep them out of the yard areas of the parks and stuff like that. Oh shit. Yeah, I need to add in the Audie Lake one, the gravel roads and campsites. Or did we miss that? We're not perfect, not even close. Barely acceptable. Number 2, Birch Lake, that no changes there. Keeps them on the gravel roads in there and campsites. Number 3, Community Park, keeps them on the paved areas. Josie Creek, same thing. Also, vehicles not permitted in the rifle range or beyond the parking lot of the rifle
The
range.
way number 3 reads, they could be anywhere except for paved areas.
So, the shit sucks, but the restrictions and allowance in parks, campgrounds, and boat lanes. It shall be unlawful to operate, I'm reading letter C on line 118. Unlawful to operate or permit the operation of an all-terrain vehicle or snowmobile in the following areas. It's unlawful in any area within the boundaries of community park, except for paved areas.
Oh, okay.
So
I misread.
Wording.
Yeah, I misread.
Lawyer speak.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I'm not fluent in.
Community park, you come off there, snowboard, up on the road.
Well, we
No,
wanted,
that's not permitted.
no, we wanted to show that it wasn't allowed there. Remember they opened that up just a few years ago? Yeah, it's open, so.
Number 5, I think that's. Yeah, Josie Creek is number 4. Number 5, Murphy flowage. So, any area within the boundaries of Murphy flowage recreation area, campground, and picnic area. Except parking lot by the boat landing, parking lot by the pavilion, and the access roads. And the lots the county have.
Does anybody have any problem with any of those?
I think the writer does.
I do. So the exception, for vehicles greater than 3,000 pounds, says they're not permitted in areas covered in section C. That's not gonna work because can't add the gravel roads and campsites in Audi because ATVs are not permitted in there, but trucks are, so.
Do you wanna scratch this and rewrite it for
We're
April?
gonna have to, because it's kinda messed up.
We can approve the date.
Yeah, we can approve that one.
Good and done.
Yeah, that's done.
But something that you'll have to think about is the next one, number 6. Any area within the Blue Hills Ski Trail system and established hunter walking trails. So it's gonna be up to you guys if you want trucks on the hunter walking trails when they're frozen or not. Leave it in there and keep trucks and ATVs off of the hunter walking trails, even when frozen. Well, ski trails, if you're gonna keep ski trails, you can't allow vehicles on. Well,
I think that's gonna come to discussion next month.
yeah, so the hunter walking trails as well. I had some members of the public suggest to keep the trucks off those hunter walking trails even when they're frozen, so that'll be up to you guys. I don't care either way. But I'm gonna have to figure out, and then other areas determined by the committee. And that'll leave it open for you guys to make a decision and some random thing that comes out of nowhere like everything does.
Thanks.
So the motion would be 168, 169, correct? The dates. Any more discussion? Not, all in favor, say aye.
We already did.
We voted on it.
Oh, that's right.
We voted on the date.
Then he went into the red ones.
Yeah.
Now he's gotta
You might have to make another paragraph in this agreement. Clarify, because if somebody reads that. Yeah, it's good.
And if nothing else,
I would entertain a motion to go to closed session.
is there a second? Oh, I'm sorry, I'm supposed to read it.
No, you are.
I know. So I asked her if we had to, she says, well, someone will tell me about